Coming up next, Spokane Public Schools Board of Directors and Superintendent take your questions on educating Spokane. Welcome to Educating Spokane. I'm Terren Roloff. Tonight, our Board of Directors is taking questions about Spokane Public Schools. If you have a question, we hope you'll call the number on your screen or email or text us at es@ksps.org. We encourage you to share your name and phone number in case we need to get back to you if time runs short. Our guests from the Board of Directors are President Bob Douthitt.
Evening, Terren.
Vice President Dr. Jeff Bierman.
Hi, Terren.
Director Sue Chapin.
Hello, Terren.
And our new superintendent, Dr. Shelley Redinger.
Good evening.
Welcome to you especially. This is your first Educating Spokane show.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, very good. Well, we have, of course, as a board, not met here for a few months, and in the last couple of weeks we've had lots of exciting news. So I thought before we start taking questions, we would kind of catch people up on what's going on. And Dr. Redinger, maybe you'd like to tell about this grant that was announced today.
Sure. Some very exciting information and news is we received a large grant, a statewide grant, collaborative schools grant, in partnership with Gonzaga University, Whitworth University, and Washington State University. And it will be working with getting pre-service teachers into Holmes Elementary to help with learning how to work with students and helping give a lot more resources to Holmes Elementary. The grant totals $500,000, so this is very exciting.
And of course, for those who don't know, Holmes Elementary is in one of our very highest poverty neighborhoods, so really exciting for those students.
And a really great opportunity to make some more connections between our district and some of the other universities in the area and really help our whole system move forward in positive ways. So.
Yeah, very good. We were also at community school the other day for their scratch cooking event, and that's something, Sue, you probably have a little bit of interest in, being in the medical field and all. That's that's a pilot program for Spokane.
It is, and looking at ways to get fresh, locally grown foods to kids in the school lunch program, and hopefully this is something we can look at expanding. You know, start small, one place, and see how we can do that.
Yeah, that's very cool. So I know that about 2 weeks ago we had some visitors in Spokane at your board meeting here to celebrate the Cyber Patriot Center of Excellence event. And Bob or Jeff, maybe you'd like to tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the students in our district that were participating in the Cyber Patriots program last year, I mean, just had phenomenal success. And it looks like the program continues to expand. You know, what was it, 6 out of the top 10 placers in the nation. And because of all that, right, we were named one of 3 Cyber Patriot Centers of Excellence nationwide.
Do you want to define Cyber Patriot?
Systems administrator kind of work, right? There, yeah. I mean, we've got high school kids who are in that program who are doing the stuff that, you know, professionals are doing at corporations and businesses, trying to secure their computer systems and websites, and they put a lot of challenges up for these kids to take on, and you know, it's amazing how quickly they can solve some of the problems that get thrown at them.
Yeah, it got the name because it was the competition was initially started by the Air Force or a support group of the Air Force. And so, but now it includes, there's an Air Force branch and a non-Air Force branch, but basically it's anti-hacking type problems. A hacker's gotten into your system, what are you going to do about it? And so, I mean, it's amazing how fast these guys are.
And it started
guys and girls. I mean, we've got an all-girls team at Rogers, I think, and
it's expanded to, I mean, almost all of our high schools now.
Yeah.
So.
We are looking for some more mentors, so those watching today, if you're interested, you can contact the district office and let us know, because we would like some more mentors to help with teams.
Yeah.
Right, and it started at Rogers about 4 years ago, I believe, and it has just, oh my gosh, blossomed. And as you mentioned, we had several teams go to nationals and do very well.
Yeah, they were competing against thousands of teams, and they just did Spokane Public Schools teams brought home top prizes. It was great.
Yeah. And with the emphasis on STEM education, I know that's one of the big priorities with this program is getting students more involved in the technology and in mathematics and science. So it's a good connection.
Yep. All right. Other news, we just announced some architects chosen for 2 more projects from the big bond that was approved by voters in 2009 for Hutton and North Central. Those were the projects. Let's talk a little bit about those because North Central, for example, is one that came about because of savings that have come about.
Yeah, we basically, when we passed the bond back in 2009, construction costs had been increasing at their highest rate in 20 or 30 years probably in those immediately preceding years. So our estimates were based on those costs, and then lo and behold, the big recession hit and construction costs fell. So we've saved $47.9 million so far on that bond. So with that, we allocated about 20 million or 19 million total to both North Central and Mullen Road to do some additions there. At North Central, the way that campus is structured, there's a little building way the heck out by Dolly's Restaurant that kids have to walk back and forth to, and there's extra, I forgot how many hours or almost
Over a week
weeks worth of instructional time lost because they have to have extra passing period, extra time for passing periods. Anyway, we're going to consolidate all that and create some more labs for Institute for Science and Technology, which is a program maybe somebody else wants to talk about there at North Central. But
right. So Hutton is one of the 4 elementaries that voters approved for either remodel or construction. The others include Westview and Finch and Jefferson. So Finch and Jefferson are just beginning that process of construction, but Westview Elementary actually opened this fall, and we have some video we'd like to share now. The grand opening was the first, well, I guess we had kind of 2 grand openings. First day of school, the first day for children to see the school. And we had a ribbon cutting there. And now you can see the students, and Director Douthitt, you were there helping Dr. Redinger and our other...
I didn't get to hold the big scissors, but I was right behind them.
Yeah.
The students, it was really exciting to see the students' expressions on their faces. And many of them, they had never been inside, and so to watch their faces when they saw it for the first time and their joy and excitement. And I've been going back and visiting Westview. That's still there. The excitement is still in that building, and it just shows you what new facilities will do to morale and for both staff and students.
It is absolutely gorgeous, and that was a really fun day. We had Avista was there with as part of the program. Scott Morris is the CEO of Avista, and he is a graduate of Westview and Shale Park, for that matter, and Glover, I believe. So he was one of the speakers, and so they brought their Watson icon, I guess.
Yes, it wasn't fun to follow Watson.
Yeah. You're watching it too much energy.
Well, in addition to the school being beautiful, which it is, it's really energy efficient too, and makes use of a lot of natural light. So it was, as the school was designed, it was done with the intent of using natural light and saving energy. So it's a very well designed building, and it's intended to last for 50 years.
Yeah, I was going to make that point on the energy because I mean both the materials, you know, are energy efficient, and say the lights themselves will adjust their brightness or dimness based on how much light's coming in through the windows. Which I would have thought, well, that's an expensive extra feature, but in reality it's a cost-saving feature. So there's a lot of little things that I didn't even know existed to save energy. So it probably will have like among our lowest utility bills in this school you're about to see.
Well, and plus it has that beautiful view. I mean, it really takes advantage. It's called Westview, and now there's a gorgeous view. All right, well, let's start with our questions then. We've had a couple come in. And the first one has to do with, okay, here we go. Are we going to look at some alternative school models to meet the needs of our students? perhaps a project-based, well, let's answer that one first. We're going to look at some alternative school models to meet the needs of our students. I think folks have been hearing you talk about that as one of your priority goals, looking at options.
Well, I think that one thing is I've been going out and listening to the community with our listening and learning surveys. I'm hearing a real desire to look at some different middle school options, some different grade configurations. And so project-based learning, which is happening at our community school, there is some opportunities there possibly to expand that to more of a, include 7-8 in that program as well. So that would be an example. Possibly looking at some K-8 models and possibly even expanding our Montessori programs to the middle school. We're hearing from some of our community members that attend the Montessori schools, they would love a middle school option. So those are just some of the examples.
Well, you kind of answered her second part of her question then, because she says about middle school and Montessori.
Oh,
so we'll
okay.
move to the next one here. This one is about full-day kindergarten. When will we know if it is a go for next year? And how will it be determined if all schools get full day?
Here's my best guess. We will have a recommendation coming to us, I think January 30th. Okay, yeah, so January 30th, we as a board will hear a recommendation for the first time. The big question is going to be, how do you finance this thing? And so there, it's a little bit hard to say whether we'll know when it's a go or not. Normally we don't finish our budget till late in the spring, but maybe we'll be in a position where we could establish that, yes, this could be in the budget no matter what. It could be that it's something that involves some sort of sliding scale tuition-based cost, you know, for at least a period of time till we can afford it. Basically, it's $150,000 per school. There's if we have it in 15 schools, so that means there's 19 elementaries that don't have it. So 19 times 150 is like $2.5 million or almost that, and that's a good chunk of money.
But we all recognize that, you know, full-day kindergarten is one of the best things you can do for children, and I don't think there's anyone on the board that opposes the concept of full-day K. We're all very supportive of it. We just want to make sure that among all of the needs in the district that we make wise decisions that can be sustained. You know, we don't want to start something that we can't continue, but we do recognize getting that full-day program to children at that age group is a very important thing to do. You know, it's teachers can do so much more if they aren't just working with a 2.5-hour window.
Yeah, and we in some schools have. I just ran into a teacher an hour and a half before this program started over at a restaurant, and she was in her 6th year of teaching all-day K. So in some schools it's been here that long, you know, in the very early schools, and it definitely has a positive impact. So I think there's a strong commitment to try to figure out how to make it happen somehow. Another variable that I think we got to remember is what's the legislature going to do? They're under pressure from the McCleary decision that was passed last year to really ramp up their funding for education. And Randy Dorn, who's a who is the superintendent of public instruction, in his proposal for what's going to the legislature and in the timetable that's been set out, one of the things that's supposed to happen this year is funding of all-day K. So he's going to be pushing for that. And, you know, I would expect there's going to be a lot of pressure there. So it could be that our money problem could be solved by the legislature right off the bat. But, you know, again, that's something you're not going to know until this late April.
In space, a large factor for many school districts is space, and we've already done that analysis. And it looks like we do have space at almost all of the elementary schools already, which can be a real negative factor if you don't have that space. So we're pleased about that, where that's heading in that direction.
All right. We have a question from Roy. He says, I heard the school district is thinking of buying Joe Albee Stadium from the city. Is this true, and why?
Well, we're definitely looking into options and what our long-term plan is for the athletic needs that we have. the future of Joe Albi's kind of a question mark, and what's going to happen to it, and we need to have some options available. So, you know, in addition to looking at possibly acquiring or doing some work with Joe Albi, we've also considered and looked at the cost and the feasibility of having fields and stadiums facilities put in place at each of our high schools, which would be the other option rather than one central place that everyone's playing their games at. Where it's going to head, I'm not sure any of us know yet, but it's just a matter of making sure that we're looking into whatever options we have and are planning at this point instead of waiting for an emergency to happen 4 years from now.
It's under discussion.
Okay.
No decision.
All right.
But
Okay.
we'd like to hear what the community thinks, and that's
Yeah.
been in the
Right.
listening and learning survey, and even sending emails to all of us so we can hear what the community thinks about that. That would be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that person could look on the paper's website, because there was an article maybe a month ago or 3 weeks ago, something like that, on that topic that kind of laid out, it had some of the numbers in there of what the basic cost differential would be between doing stadiums at the different schools versus the Joe Albi renovation.
Okay, and before we go to the next question, I just want to encourage viewers to email or text us at es@ksps.org if you have a question, or you can call the number on the screen. The next question is, I heard the district may go to grades 6, 7, and 8 in middle school. Is this true?
Well, currently we're looking at other possible grade configurations, but I do know there's been some studies already that were recently done looking at that. What are the pros and cons of different grade configurations? So we need to be very thoughtful. I know that there isn't a general decision in any way, shape, or form to move to that model right now, but I would say that other alternative models for grades 7 and 8 is under discussion, and we would like to try some different grade configurations. So it may be 5 through 8, maybe the 7 through 12, just some different models.
Yeah, with possibly multiple options available throughout the district, rather
Correct.
than every school being a K through 6 and every middle school being a 7 through 8, trying to combine so there's some different options that families can find that better match their students' needs or their family needs. So.
Yeah. 'Cause one of, it gets back to the first question, what options do you have? And, the first caller, people want different
They do.
choices.
And that's one of the benefits of being a larger district is we have that ability to try to program in some different options for people within our community to take advantage of, as opposed to a smaller district that only has 1 or 2 schools and they can't provide those types of options.
Yeah, there would be some practical, logistical problems just from a space standpoint if you were to go to a 6, 7, 8. And so, if you go to 6, 7, 8 across the board. And so, our thought at this point is to look at a few little smaller options, that may be, like Jeff said, a K through 8 or a 6 through 8 program at one place or another, just to kind of see how those play out and what sort of the extra demand seems to be or not seem to be. But if you're going to increase the capacity of the middle schools by 1/3 by adding 1 whole new grade level, you're probably going to need another building or do some major redistricting to use existing, say, elementary buildings and convert them to middle schools, and so that could be complicated. So anyway, that's why we're thinking at this stage of the game to go in on a smaller basis.
All right. So this question just came in as a text. Today's paper talked about school choice. What is the board's position on this? And so maybe you want to refresh folks.
Yeah, we've been looking at this for several months now in a comprehensive way, and basically right now we have where we are is still in the process of asking staff to do some research on various things and give us some pros and cons, which we'll be hearing on November 7th and November 14th, probably is when we're getting our next report. So we had a pretty long meeting on it on October 17th and then discussed a little bit just last night. But right now we have a policy that basically permits people to choose different schools, and here's the key thing, once they're in there for good, the way the policy is now. A lot of districts have a policy that says you can choose a school and get in there, but if it turns out later that there's more neighborhood people within that attendance area, they're going to have priority over you, and somebody from the choice group is going to have to leave. And so that's really what the issue is at this point. And so we've had many emails from all different sides of this issue.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that the information is not always getting out accurately, because some of the emails that have come in, it sounds like people are hearing that we're looking at doing away with choice, you know, the opportunity for families to choose into a school outside of their attendance area, and that's not the case at all. It's just really looking at what do we do when a particular elementary school is full to capacity, and there are neighborhood children that are finding they don't have a place in that school. So that's really the crux of the issue.
One of the things we've discovered is that probably the procedures we've been using have exacerbated this problem a little bit because we've set deadlines where we grant the choice transfers pretty early in the game, like before June 15th, and people move in over the summer to the neighborhood, and then they're not able to get in. So just by shifting that date to the end of the summer, you know, we think we can get rid of a lot of the problem. The problem also has arisen just because we've staffed up to limits the last couple of years due to budget problems. And up until 2 or 3 years ago, we always had a cushion in our how heavily we were staffed. And so there was, but right now we're staffed up to whatever the limit that's permitted under the collective bargaining agreement. And so when we staff that much, then you know what, there's no room left when somebody else moves in later on. And so, whereas in the past people were able to get in, now sometimes they're not. It's still not a gigantic problem because this year there's only 65 kids that at the elementary level that are involuntarily have to move out from the neighborhoods, but some years it's been 150, you know, so, and we have about 2,000 people choicing every year at the elementary level. So there's a balancing of interests that we haven't reached any final decision on that.
I think that's an important point, is the question asked about what the board's position was on the issue too, and we really haven't come to a position yet. We're still in the process of trying to identify everything we can about the situation, get good information and research for us to be able to come to a decision, and those discussions are still coming along.
All right, okay. This one should be a pretty quick one to answer. Who pays for speech therapy for the elementary school children, federal or local money? Assuming we know the answer, that is.
The answer is probably both. The special ed, that falls under our special education programs, and while those ideally would have been fully funded by federal sources and some targeted state sources, they're not. And so as a district, we do end up backfilling some resources into our special education program that come out of our local levies. So the answer to who's funding those programs, really, it's a combination of federal, state, and some local dollars as well.
All right. If I want to get involved with the new faith-based mentoring program, who do I call? Asks Bill.
I think at this time, Stephen Gehring, who's our new Chief Academic Officer, is helping at the site, at the school site, coordinating with the churches. And so Stephen Gehring at the district office would be the best person at this time, or they can call and ask for me as well, and we'll get them hooked up with the right person. But we're very, very excited about this opportunity with the mentoring. We found out today we have over 50 congregations involved, making sure that they have volunteers to help come in and mentor in our schools. So I'm glad that people are asking. We would love to have more help.
I think that's an amazing program, and whoever thought of it was a brilliant move. But I felt proud that of the amount of volunteer effort that we have in our schools already, which is about 116,000 hours, which averaged out to about 4 hours per student. But there are districts that have as much as 20 hours per student volunteer. So there is an enormous opportunity, and particularly in these times of budget problems, help in the form of volunteer effort kind of on the ground in the buildings is our best way to leverage teacher time and instructional effort and get good results. So, I mean, they can do a world of good, whoever wants to volunteer for that.
And adult role models in the schools, a consistent adult role model, it makes such a difference in these students' lives. And that is why this is, we already are seeing Communities in Schools has established this at Sheridan Elementary, and the difference that it's making in the lives of those students.
Okay. We just have a couple minutes left, so let's get this one answered too. Are students required to take physical education in middle school?
Currently we do have that, but we do have some, if they're in athletics, correct? Director Chapin?
High school.
High school, so that's
Yeah,
just in high school. But currently, yes. Matter of fact, I was at Sacagawea the other day and they were all in there, they were suited up and they were playing volleyball in the gymnasium.
All right. Okay, next question. When will the new Ferris be done? And will you have a grand opening? Of course we will have a grand opening. We are very good at grand openings.
January of 14, isn't it?
A couple years.
That's right.
Yeah, very good memory. Very good.
I knew it
Well, I
wasn't
went
the
to
beginning
Ferris.
of
Oh,
the
that's
school
right.
year. So the middle of next school year.
Yeah. Some of the construction of the buildings are kind of being phased in as we're trying to do it with students still on site. So some of the newer buildings are already open, and I think that continues over the,
Yep,
over the
kids are
construction
in
schedule.
classrooms and some are in portables, but
Okay, the last question we'll probably have time for, because it probably will take a little bit of time to answer, is what are you doing about math?
Do you want me to jump? Are you going to jump?
I'll leave it to Jeff.
Sure, go for it.
Oh, he wants me to go for it. All right. Well, right now we're currently looking at a new mathematics adoption. It is needed. We haven't had a new mathematics adoption for quite a few years for grades 3 through 8. So it is needed, so we are working diligently on that right now. We've started some committees. If individuals are interested in the committee on serving on that committee, please let your building principal know. Principals are getting community members and parents right now. We will have other focus groups, so there isn't going to be just one committee for this adoption for mathematics. We also want to have other focus groups so community has plenty of input into the process. We haven't, they don't know which programs yet. We're still looking at alignment issues with the new standards that we're going to be having. And so they'll be looking at what are the materials that are aligned well, but we would like the community's input.
Okay, well, speaking of math, North Central is having an event coming up in a couple of weeks here, and I want to share that day with you. The 17th is called Step Up to STEM, and we encourage folks to attend. And
That's a Saturday.
That's the 19th of November from 9 to 12:30, yes. And we are out of time, so I want to thank our volunteers for answering the phones, and thank you as viewers for tuning in. And we are re-airing this show at 8 p.m. for 1 week, beginning tomorrow on Comcast Cable Channel 17. And this and other shows are always available on our website at SpokaneSchools.org. Thank you so much. Good night.